New Jersey. I am your host, Liz Vaynerchuk Novello, and we're on episode 7. Today, I'm so excited to have Corey from Glo Esthetics joining me. She just opened a brick and mortar location in Far Hills, New Jersey, and I can't wait to talk about Botox, fillers, and so much more. Welcome, Corey.
Hi, thank you so much
Hey,
for having
Corey.
me.
Corey, I felt like I couldn't come to the show. I never really, first of all, I rarely wear makeup, but I felt like I had to do something to my eyes, fluff up my hair, and look a little bit more decent for you.
Don't worry, I typically have my hair up in a messy bun and very little makeup on, and I'm wearing a mask all the time, so.
Perfect, exactly. Masks have been really helping me. So I wanted to have you on the show. We met actually on Instagram during the pandemic. I was doing local business spotlights. You had reached out to me the first time that we spoke. I've known some friends that have come to you, but we spoke and I felt like it was just such an easy, casual conversation. I really loved your approach to your business on educating clients versus, when we hear Botox and fillers, and a lot of people think about people that are overdone and Hollywood. So here we are in Somerset County, New Jersey, your new location in Far Hills. Can you speak to me about your journey and how it started?
Sure. So I got certified doing this when I became a nurse practitioner. It was kind of something to do on the side. I was actually working in cardiology, but I went to Queens. I worked at a med spa in Queens for a number of years, just kind of doing this on the side, really enjoying it, improving my skills, but I never really loved the industry. And the longer I was in it, the more I thought about kind of breaking off and doing my own thing, and really representing it in a different way than it was much more in public and the public perception.
And could we talk about, you were working with patients with heart conditions, correct?
Yeah, actually, I was, when I started thinking about even doing my own business, I was working in Morristown with heart failure patients.
Yeah. Morristown Hospital, which is a top-rated hospital. And so you went from heart to making lots of women, and I'm assuming men, feel really good about themselves. How many men actually visit your location? Do you have a lot of men that come in?
I mean, it's definitely the majority is women. I would say probably about right now, maybe 5% is men.
Yeah. So tell us, so you just got the brick and mortar location, correct, in Far Hills not long ago, right?
September.
Was it September? Got it. Okay. And so tell us how you decided to open up an actual location that people could visit, because when we spoke, you had shared that sometimes you would do Botox parties. And so what really pushed you to actually find a physical location that people can come to?
So that was always the goal. However, starting up a brand new business, requires a lot of time, and particularly in this industry, I had to build a clientele based on a lot of things, and one of them is trust. Sure. And I'm lucky enough to work with my husband, who has history in social media and really being able to reach people in that way. So he was doing that aspect of it and really gaining some attention that way. And my contribution, I guess, was, getting clients by word of mouth. And the way that I was really able to do that was to allow people to kind of keep these things really private, and go to their homes. Again, really giving kind of white glove service, getting to know people, getting them to trust me, and then them sharing that with their friends. And little by little, through social media and word of mouth, we were able to gain enough of a clientele that a brick and mortar would be a reality.
That's amazing. First of all, I think I applaud you for working with your husband. Justin, my husband, and Dustin are behind the scenes. So we're starting to work together for the first time, even though we've been together a million years. Just want to say thank you, Brian, Jenna, Kat, who have joined me religiously for Good Morning Jersey every week. I'm super excited here with Corey. Thank you, Lemonade. I love that name. And so let's talk about why people decide to do Botox and fillers, and maybe you can educate us on the difference.
Sure. So, typically when somebody comes in, the first thing we do, I don't start getting my needles out right away. We sit and we talk for a while.
Right.
And the first thing I ask them is what's bothering them. And, sometimes people are able to say, oh, well, it's my forehead. That's the thing I can't
Is that the number one thing people come in for? Like, is that the first place that women, men start to see aging or?
It depends. Sometimes it's now, especially with Zoom calls, a lot of lower face issues or neck. So it could really be a number of different things. Sometimes people can't even narrow down exactly an area, or they say my whole face, and I'm like, let's calm down. So sometimes it's me getting them to just explain how they feel.
Sure.
And from there, I'm able to say, okay, based on those issues, here's the things that would be options for you. And it's not always just one thing. And then I explain to them the differences. So for example, Botox is something it's a neurotoxin or a neuromodulator. It's injected into areas of muscle movement. So where it's muscle constantly moving that's causing a wrinkle or a crease or a line in the skin above it, that's when Botox would be appropriate as a treatment. When it's areas that have lost volume, so areas of hollowness, areas where our fat pads have retreated or our bones have retreated, that we're looking to plump out those areas, or lost hydration, that's where filler is appropriate.
So, I mean, I looked at your website. There's so much on there, and videos and before and after photos that were really interesting. You do something, what is it called? Threading, where it literally is a facelift. It's like you don't have to go under the knife. You could just do this threading. So I'm assuming that people that are considering surgery might want to try this first. It's safer, right? And B, it definitely probably costs less.
Yes.
And downtime has to be significantly less as well, correct?
Yeah. It's pretty much my favorite thing that we're doing right now, because it's a really, it's a newer technology, and it allows just another tool. Again, when you have neuromodulators that do one thing affecting the muscles, you have fillers that their job is to bring volume. A lot of times in the past, I think that injectors were trying to utilize fillers to bring that volume and then to lift, but that's really not their job. And I think that's a lot of times when you were seeing people very overfilled.
Right. What is threading actually? What is it? Is it a thread?
It is actually a thread. It's a sugar-based thread. What you do is the certain areas that you're looking to bring up, you kind of see where it works.
And then I saw it on the neck.
Yeah, it could be here, because this actually can bring this whole thing up. Gotcha. So it could be here,
right?
Could be here, could be the neck. And you make a small port with a needle, you make a small port with a needle, and then you introduce the threading into the subcu tissue, which basically is just a layer of fat and connective tissue. So you're not disturbing muscles or nerves or anything like that. The threads are barbed, so it adheres to the tissue, so that when you pull them, then you get that pull up. And then they also will produce collagen while in your tissue. So it's a really nice combo effect.
Well, I mean, when you're doing threading, could you accidentally thread one side? Just like every face is not always symmetrical. Is it like there has to be a really specific way, a lot of education? Because I can't imagine that everybody would know. I can't even cut my own daughter's hair. So like I can't even make that even. I can't imagine having the idea of making a cheek the same on both sides. So I'm sure that's lots of education and hours of training.
Definitely. And, and just also just my experience as an injector, I do a lot of, it sounds silly, but like just eyeballing it.
Mm,
And really educating people really with all of the treatments that I do that as carefully as possible, because I never want to make somebody feel worse, but really
sure.
educating them on their baseline as far as their asymmetries. Everybody is asymmetric. They say that the
Correct.
face is sisters, not twins.
Mm.
We actually age differently on each side. So kind of understanding where our baseline asymmetries are is really important to know that whatever we're doing, it's not going to be absolutely perfect.
And
And kind of loving that about yourself,
right.
you know?
I think what I love about your location, I can't wait to, I haven't done anything since the pandemic, but I can't wait to try a facial at your salon. Can you talk about the different facials that you can get?
Absolutely. We have two estheticians here that are amazing, Joanna and Noel. We provide I don't want to say you're basic, but it's maybe where somebody would start if they wanted to. We call it a clinical facial. It's clinical because there is a assessment process and a treatment based on that assessment. So each of the facials are customized to that person.
Okay.
Usually that's a discussion about your skincare, because education is always key.
Right.
Assessing the skin, cleansing, and then using different serums or masks that are more specific to that person's skin.
Do you guys provide like I've sunspots. Like that's
Mhm.
something that I'm noticing with age. Does facials clear sunspots? I don't think it does, but
Well, they
do you
also
guys
will
do
do
lasers?
dermaplaning.
Okay,
Yep.
what's
Yep. So
let's talk
dermaplaning can
about that.
help just basically dermaplaning is shaving your face, which is actually
Okay.
amazing. It gets all the dead skin cells off of the face. So if you have something that's very, very surface, it can be
Yeah.
helpful with that. But we do also have a laser machine. It's actually IPL. It's intense pulse light.
Oh.
And that is typically a series that's done to help with sunspots.
And so let's talk about that a little bit because I
Mhm.
would be curious to explore it myself. So I come in, I do a treatment with that laser. What is the downtime? Like, will I be able to come to Good Morning New Jersey
Yeah.
and show my face?
Yeah, I actually picked the machine that we have because all of the procedures have either no or very minimal downtime to them. So doing that particular procedure, you would be a little sensitive. So I always encourage people to stay out of the sun and or wear SPF. But you might be a little bit red right afterwards, but otherwise you would be fine to do anything that you need to do that day.
And as I'm getting older, I'm realizing SPF is so key. My God, I used to go in tanning booths. Like I would never let my daughter do the things that like I literally couldn't wait to be in the sun without sunscreen.
Hmm.
And have I ever had sunburn? Yes, but it's just now I know, no way. My daughter, I slather both my kids, but I'm like, Hannah, SPF is key, right? I
It
feel like
really
if
is.
you grew up in the 80s and even the 90s, I feel like SPF really has come out with like, this is what you need every day, day and night. I did
Yeah.
not realize it's even in my face cream when I wake up in the morning
Hmm.
because the sun really damages your skin. You
Yeah.
probably are very clear to see who has been sun abusing in their lives, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, to talk about asymmetries, some people have significant damage on their driver's side. Um,
Wow.
yeah, you can definitely see the difference. I actually carry around in my bag, and we sell here a compact that
Okay.
is SPF that you can constantly
Wow.
apply throughout the day. And I encourage people to do that because it really has a big impact on your skin. And when you come in and you're like, okay, now I realize the damage, now I'm trying to reverse it. It takes time to kind of turn back the clock on some of that damage.
Let's talk about people that are new to it. What are the first things that you tell a person who's never done anything to their face, not even, have had barely facials in their lifetime?
So the first thing we start to talk about is what they're using on their skin. What's their foundation? Because, the biggest thing I preach to my clients is if you're going to start considering any type of advanced treatments, whether it's lasers, Botox, filler, thread, any of these things, before you start wasting your money on all of that, make sure that you're taking care of your skin at its foundation. So we usually have a pretty in-depth conversation about what they're using, how they could tweak that, and then, kind of go from there.
Corey, what are your go-to regimen for people to use? Like, let's just say an overall, everybody should be using what?
Everybody should be using a vitamin C serum or antioxidant serum, a retinol, and SPF.
A retinol even at what age?
I would say starting in your late 20s.
Oh gosh, we're gonna have to talk retinols. Do you sell products in your store?
Yes, we have 2 different product lines. We have Skin Better Science and Is Clinical.
Okay. And clinical meaning?
They're medical grade. Yeah. So that means that there is data behind every single product, that it's quality ingredients that don't have a lot of fillers. That often means that they do have a higher price point.
Right.
However, again, a big thing that I'm always driving home to my clients is you really need minimal amounts of the product to work. So a little goes a long way. So you really want to you can get bang for your buck with the products.
Corey, what was a big lesson you learned your first year in this industry?
I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is really knowing your why and trusting your gut.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was when I turned 40 a year ago that, or almost 2 years ago, soon to be. I just really now never go against my gut. My gut is always right. Do you think that's with age, or do you think that with practice in the business, or, we're both in the service business, right? Like as a real estate agent, I am in the service business, but there are times that you just trust your gut and like this isn't the right situation for me. Even if, it looks great. And I'm sure you're in that situation too. Like a client coming in wanting something, but deep down you're like, oof, this is borderline, inappropriate, or like that you don't feel comfortable. Have you ever had that situation?
Oh, absolutely. I've turned people away. Yeah.
That's what I like about you, Corey. Like when you told me that, like, you turn people away, so many people just want to make that buck. And it's probably so easy because I'm assuming you do one thing, like in my industry, you redo the kitchen, then you want to do your family room, then you want to do the bathroom, then you want to paint, then you want to do that. I'm sure it's the same thing in your industry where you do a little Botox, then you're like, hey, what about filler? What about this? What about that? So I'm sure there's always like an upsell opportunity, but the fact that you say that you turn people away.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of one of the number one things I didn't like about the industry when I first got into it, was so much of it was about the upsell. So much of it was really playing on people's insecurities. And, I feel like my job is the opposite of that. I actually will never do facial assessments. I will ask any of my clients, especially if they're referred from their friends, they'll always say, I know you're not going to tell me, because I want them to tell me how they're feeling. Everybody's walking in with their own laundry list of what they don't like about themselves. And 9 times out of 10, I'm like, really? I don't I don't see that, you know, I have to really look for it.
Corey, I love that.
You know,
Can you
so
imagine?
I'm not here to add to that. You know,
Right.
I'm here to
I
make them
can't
feel
even
better.
imagine. Right. There, I don't like this one spot. They'll be like, wait, I never thought about that. I want to say thank you to the salon guy and Mitch for always tuning in, and Beth, my best friend Catherine Gilbert and I, she said, let's go. I'm overdue for a facial. I'm totally coming for a facial. So
We also
Beth
have
had,
hydrofacial, which you've heard of, if you've heard of that, which is
what's
amazing
that?
too.
The
So
hydro.
that's with a machine,
Okay.
and that gives you a really deeper clean and exfoliation. Your face kind of looks like glass afterwards. It's amazing. Yeah.
Uh, glass, that's an interesting analogy, but I'll tell you this, like what are blackheads from? Like I swear I've never had skin issues. I've been genetically very lucky, thank God, because
Very
I'm
lucky.
super lazy on taking care of myself. But what are blackheads from? I'm noticing blackheads, and that's why I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah, they're just dirt, debris, bacteria that, you know, have found their ways into pores and kind of made a little bit of a home there. So, you know, by cleansing, again, exfoliating, you know, making it so that you don't have that constant rest of bacteria on your face can help with all of that.
Why Far Hills? Why did you choose that location?
You know, it's a great location as far as access. We're right off of 202, which is right off of 206.
Right.
And you have
Where
287.
exactly is it? Where exactly? What's another
We're
landmark?
actually right on 202.
Okay.
Uh, about maybe half a mile from 206,
Okay.
which is at the
So
point in
local to
206
me.
where it's kind of right in the middle of Bedminster.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's Far Hills, so use your ways. How big is your team at Glo?
So there's 5 of us, which includes my husband because he is very integral to our team. It's been his lot in life since he's married me to be surrounded by estrogen. So good for him. So it's myself, my husband.
And you have a daughter, so he's really.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Myself, my husband, Lauren, who's another nurse practitioner. We actually worked together in Morristown for a long time, both in heart failure.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
we shared an
awesome. So you
office.
recruited her.
Yes, yes. And then our 2 estheticians, Noella and Joanna.
Could we talk about, like, I swear I've heard that an ENT was giving Botox through like the mommy friends. Like, what makes somebody be able to, what is the qualification that everybody out there that's thinking about doing it, what's the qualification? Who should be giving Botox and fillers?
Oftentimes it's based on state.
Okay.
Any state, a doctor can, obviously.
Sure.
Let's
talk Jersey.
So Jersey, you know, and Jersey's pretty strict. The reason that I, as a nurse practitioner, can do it is because nurse practitioners can prescribe. So it's looked at as though, you know, the procedures I'm doing, whether it's Botox filler, is also the same as prescribing a medication. I have a collaborating physician for the practice. I believe nurses can also do it in New Jersey, but there needs to be a supervising physician typically on site.
Okay.
But beyond that, you wouldn't want anyone else. You know, so doctor, nurse practitioner, PA, nurse are pretty much the ones that can be certified in it. To the extent that they can do it is based on the state, though.
Okay. And so, you know what? I mean, I love hearing everything that you have, but let's talk about the business side. What do you think's been the best advice you've received as a business owner or in your first years of doing this brick and mortar year 1?
You know, I would probably have to return back to the knowing your why. That was something actually my husband implemented in me in the very beginning when we started this, to kind of focus me. It was kind of
what is your why? What is your why?
You know, again, the why is just really focusing on kind of what I always did as a nurse at my core, is making somebody feel better. You know, when I was in heart failure, it was really difficult because the trajectory, obviously, for heart failure is ultimately pretty grim. This is an area that I can help people feel really confident, but do it in a very careful way that I don't damage their self-esteem in the process. So, it's really always to make sure that somebody leaves here feeling really great. Even if we didn't do anything, even if we just had a great conversation, and they're going to go home and they're going to think about maybe doing something. The biggest thing I would tell people also, if they're going somewhere else, is never feel pressure to do something. You should be going somewhere to get education, to feel comfortable about who may be doing your procedures. And if you don't feel that you're getting that, leave.
Yeah. You're not tied to that chair for sure. I know you're raising a little girl. How old's your daughter?
She's 2. She was 2 in December.
Okay. And so how has motherhood changed you?
I think that it's made me want to set a better example. And when I really decided to go for it with this business, with my husband, and I was working in the hospital, I was at a point in my career when I was really not happy, not feeling fulfilled. And I think a really huge lesson for my daughter that I can, set an example for her is that we're responsible for our own happiness.
Oh, and love that, Corey.
It's true.
So true. I agree.
Anybody that's miserable, I hate to say it, but it's their own fault. We all have the choice to change, to do something different. And, whether it's staying somewhat, I'm still medical, but I'm doing something different, or it's a change completely. So I think that, really making the decision to leave the hospital, go for this full time, really pursue this dream and pursue the happiness that it would bring is the best thing I could do for her.
I love that. It's something that I totally instill in my children on all levels, from relationships to what they do in life, that they are in control, that they should always look for happiness. And obviously, school can be difficult, relationships can be difficult, but if it's less happy than happy, then you know that you need to make a change. Or I just never want them to be unhappy. I think happiness, what I used to think money was, now I know the goal for me is happiness. It is just to feel good and do something that I love, because if I don't, I can change. And I think that as a former teacher, I know that there's so many teachers out there, even though we've had 7 episodes and probably half of them on Good Morning New Jersey have been with teachers who've pivoted and changed their business. I know there's so many teachers that love the stability of having a paycheck and also, pension, things like that. But that should not keep you in a position. You should always, if you're not in it anymore, it's time to leave, because it's a disservice to yourself.
Right.
And to others, I think, around you. I've been doing, bringing it back to the New Jersey talk. Let's do some New Jersey questions, local, because I know that you didn't grow up here.
Right.
In fact, Corey was born in Alaska, right, Corey?
Very true. Yes.
But I want to know a couple things, and we'll start with probably something so easy for you. Your favorite treatment at Glo. What is the one thing that you're totally into right now?
I think right now is really the threads. Between the lifting threads are very popular, but there's also another type of thread that is just a smooth thread that we place into the tissue to build collagen. Okay. It's a very simple treatment that's very popular because everybody has lost collagen and elasticities from their 20s. So kind of in those areas is improving your skin quality. So it's a really nice, easy treatment. I
just got gifted, like Khloe Kardashian, I have it over here. Khloe Kardashian came out with collagen, something you mix in your coffees, the coffee. Is that something that you recommend? Do you think there's an actual advantage of putting collagen, or whatever it is? I have to read the label. Is there any benefits from adding that to a coffee in the morning?
Yeah, I think that bringing that back into your system is certainly not going to hurt. I think that, but if you're looking to improve collagen in specific areas, then there's a couple different modalities that are able to do that. And basically all of them are in some way kind of tricking your body into scenarios in which the body comes in to heal, and that healing process builds collagen. So, you know, there's an actual, yeah.
I gotta get my body tricked. Favorite local restaurant? What's your favorite local? I mean, I know that the pandemic, and I know that a lot of people might be listening from different states. Like Jersey's still pretty locked down. The other day it hit almost 70, right? And I saw people outside for the first time eating at local restaurants. What's your favorite local restaurant?
So my husband and I used to live in Gladstone, and right down the street is 90 Acres.
Yep.
So it's actually the only place that we've been out to dinner during this entire year. We went there for our anniversary, which was luckily in July. So we had the outdoor space open.
The outdoor is unbelievable. If you've not seen or been to 90 Acres, that is definitely the place. What's your favorite meal or dish or appetizer there, or drink?
I would have to say it changes. I mean, we used to go, you know, obviously it's someplace that often you have reservations. We used to just show up and sit at the bar and get whatever the, you know, the specials were, because everything is farm to table. So it's very fresh. You kind of, it's a place where you just trust the chefs, you know.
For sure. For sure. Favorite hair salon?
I actually go to Salon Boutique in Morristown.
Okay.
It's right on South Street. It's a little organic place. I go to Jessie. She's amazing.
Good.
But I'm really bad at getting my hair done. I maybe go, this last time it was the first time I had been in a year.
It's almost like this pandemic has really showed us, like, now I just want people to come to my house and maybe hang out in my garage and do my nails and cut my hair and everything else. Favorite place to take your daughter pre-pandemic?
You know, before the pandemic, she was pretty young. So we had only kind of just started really even taking her places. At that point, I think the favorite thing was just taking her to the playground, having her on the swing, seeing that moment when she went from being afraid to like really loving it, you know, was so great. So I think just starting to do that again, because during the pandemic, even the playgrounds, you know, were shut down and everything. So
I'll suggest one locally to us is Harry Dunham.
Okay.
Have you been to Harry Dunham?
No.
It's right in Far Hills. I think it's Far Hills or Basking Ridge borderline.
Okay.
Favorite nail salon?
I actually never get my nails.
Stop, really?
Never.
That's the one thing that's the one thing I do for myself. It's because I'm a nail biter and I religiously get my nails done. Otherwise, I'll look crazy.
Where do you go?
I go to BB2 for like 14 years. The only time I don't go is the pandemic and also when I give birth. Like I labored to give birth to my daughter there. I literally was in the chair and I drove myself to the doctors where I was 5.5 centimeters dilated.
Wow.
And thank God they were close to Morristown where I parked in labor and delivery. And I left my luggage because I was like, an hour later, Hannah was here. So yeah. BB2 right in the Starbucks Plaza next to 3 West. I don't know if you know.
I will check it out.
As an agent, I should know roads better, but I don't. Corey, I'm so excited. Let me take a few questions from the audience and then we'll wrap up our Saturday morning because I have showings and I'm sure that you are very busy too. My client and now become a dear friend, threading. Beth writes, threading is now used for hair loss, PRP or something she wrote during PRP. Do you know anything about that?
Yes. So PRP is basically when you have your blood drawn, it's spun down in a centrifuge, the blood separates the red blood cells from the plasma, and we take the plasma off, and the plasma has a lot of growth factors and a lot of healing benefits to the skin. So you can actually inject it into the tissue. You can inject it into the scalp. We actually have a protocol for hair loss with that. Yeah.
Really? So you have it there?
Yes.
Okay, Beth, she has it there. Kat wants to know, is there anything organic you could put on your face at home?
I mean, there's plenty of products that are clean and safe. I know the line that we have here is clinical, is pregnancy safe, cancer safe, because they actually use a lot of botanical based ingredients.
Mitch writes, any 60-year-old men use your services? And if so, what is typical? Anything to help droopy eyelids? Asking for a friend. Thanks, Mitch.
We actually have a lot of guys that come in for facials. You know, beyond that, definitely I have Botox clients that are men. Some do some filler. The droopy eyelids, it depends how droopy. If it's a little too much, then it might be something that's more surgical based.
But is there anything for droopy? Like, can you Botox up?
You can do Botox kind of in the lateral aspect here to give a little bit of lift here. Also, when you do it in the forehead, you get a little bit of lift there too.
And last but not least, lemonade, which just makes me think of childhood lemonade scenes my brother did, and I was his employee. What treatments do you have for dark circles under the eyes?
So it depends. It's a tricky area. I always start with what are you using as far as skincare, and then also asking questions such as, do you have allergies? Are you hollow or do you get puffy? Because you need to know what your propensity is for retaining fluid in that area, because if you're going to do a filler, which is typically the treatment for that area, you want to make sure that you're not adding hyaluronic acid, which holds onto fluid. You're not adding that to an area that is going to then really, really swell. So there are treatments, but it definitely depends.
Yeah. Thank you, Corey. Tell everybody where they can find you.
So we're at 27 Route 202 in Far Hills. We're Suite 2. It's a large white building. It's the Far Hills Center. It was just newly renovated. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
And we're right next to Parati's Deli.
Yes.
And, again, right on 202. So please come and check us out. And if nothing else, come and sit in the back and have a glass of wine.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Corey, for joining us.
Thank you.
I hope that everybody has a very special day and enjoying this sunny day here in Jersey. Have a good one, guys. Bye.
Thank you so much, Liz. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.